Hello everyone and welcome. This is Yana Smakula and I'm thrilled to be a guest here at W+9 today. I'm a huge fan of W+9 stamps, I love their designs, and it's such an honor for me to be sharing my project in this video tutorial here today. I'm going to be using W+9 stamps, dyes, and inks to create a Mother's Day card. I'll show you a simple way to stretch your inks to get more out of them to create various shades of one color for your projects. I'm going to be using two stamp sets, perfect for creating projects for our moms. I have the Watercolored Anemones with beautiful little blooms, and also a Strictly Sentiments 4 set, which has a number of gorgeous sentiments to celebrate Mother's Day and just to express love to our moms. I'm going to work on my sentiment first. I'll be heat embossing it in clear embossing powder over black ink, so I'm using VersaFine Onyx Black to stamp it onto my white panel. I'm first treating my cardstock with an anti-static powder tool to keep my embossing nice and clean, and what this does is it prevents embossing powder particles from sticking to areas they are not supposed to stick to, so this just helps to keep embossing looking clean. I'm also stamping an additional sentiment at the bottom of this panel, and together with the top one it reads, "On Mother's Day and every day, you're loved more than you'll ever know." Once this has been heat set, we can go ahead and move on to stamping the flowers onto our panel. I'm going to use the floral bouquet here and the Appletini ink, and we'll stamp this in 3 sections onto my panel, framing the sentiment. I'm trying to make sure that only the leaves overlap the sentiment. I don't want the stamped flowers to overlap anything, as I will be adding stamped and die-cut flowers over these later, so I need to make sure they won't be blocking the heat embossed sentiment. Basically, what I'm doing here is I'm creating a blueprint or a sketch or even a guide for myself. So first I have the sentiments, which tell me where to stamp the green floral clusters. Then I have the floral clusters themselves, and later I will add yellow and purple florals over the stamped flowers. Now that my stamping is done, you can see that none of the flowers overlap the sentiments here, and overall the greenery is only helping to frame my message. I'm going to set this panel aside for now and we'll work on my flowers. The Watercolored Anemones stamp set has also separate flowers that make up the bouquet to help you stamp those in whatever colors you like. And those are also color layering stamps, and what this means is that there are several layers to each image that need to be stamped using similar colors of ink for best results. So for example, a light, a medium, and a dark yellow. I'm going to use just 2 colors of ink, Wild Mango and Cockleshell, and I'll stretch those colors with the help of white ink to get several shades of my yellow and my purple. First, I'm going to go ahead and stamp several base layers using each color. I don't know exactly how many flowers I need, as I plan to decorate the inside of the card, so I'm stamping a few extra just in case. I'm going to let the ink sit and dry for a few minutes, and the color will lighten once it's dry. Here I have a few flowers that I stamped yesterday, and you can see the difference in color here. Yesterday's flowers are much lighter. While my flowers are drying, I don't want to waste any time, so I'm going to go back to my base panel and will mute some of the green color around the sentiment. I'm going to use white pigment ink and a sponge dauber, and will simply add a bit of white to the sections I feel to be too vibrant. Now, because my sentiment was heat embossed and not just stamped, this layer of white will not affect it. It will only mute whatever was stamped here, so the green bouquet. And you can see how nicely this white changes the color of the green. Now, white is a slow drying pigment ink, so it will take some time for it to dry. I'm also using a paper towel and just dabbing away any extra white ink, and also cleaning the heat embossed sentiment, making sure I don't have any pigment sitting on the embossing powder. I'm going to use the same white ink and mute my stamped flowers in the same way. Now, you can also just go ahead and stamp over these with white ink, but I find I get better results when I apply white with a sponge. I can also add a heavier coat, and I can also apply it just to the parts of the flower, like I'm doing here. I'm adding hardly any white to the base of this flower. I don't want to wait for these to dry on their own, so I'm going to use my heat tool to speed things up a bit. You can see the difference in color there, especially on that purple flower in the middle there, where some of the original color is still showing. Now I can go ahead and finish stamping these as I would any color layering images. I'm still using the same colors of ink I used for my base flowers. Because my original color was muted with the help of white, the top layer now looks a lot more vibrant. I feel this is a great technique for those who do not have a lot of colors of ink. By using white pigment ink, you can really stretch the use of one ink pad and get more color options out of it. Be sure to clean your stamp in between stamping, as it will pick up some of the white pigment, and when you'll go to ink it up, it will contaminate your dye ink pad. So just wipe it clean after each use. You can see I've stamped yellow and purple flowers, and purple ones look very beautiful in particular. The purple ink pulled on the edges in some sections and created even darker spots on the flowers, resembling watercolor. I'm also going to stamp the flower centers using black ink, and we'll go ahead and die cut these using matching dies. Here's a close-up. I love how these turned out, and also the fact that I only needed one color of ink for each of those. I added additional detail to the base panel of my card by stamping the second layer of leaves using the same Appletini ink over white. This added a little bit of interest and dimension to the leaves on the front of the card. The rest is very simple. I trimmed my panel slightly using a stitched rectangle die. I wanted to add a faux stitched edge to it. I foam mounted onto a white card base and foam mounted the stamped and die cut flowers on top. I'm making this card for my mother, and she adores yellow flowers, and she also loves purple. So using those colors for my flowers was a perfect option, I think. I also decorated the inside of the card using the same technique, but I skipped the white pigment ink over green, and instead of foam mounting the flowers, I adhered them flat to be able to close the card. I also added an additional sentiment on the inside. I stamped "Mom, thank you," and left plenty of room to write my Mother's Day wishes to my mom. The front of the card was decorated with a few sequins and clear drops, and that finished my project. Before I go, I also wanted to show you another idea to stretch the use of your ink pads. Here I have several flowers created using the same wild mango ink pad and double stamping technique. The flower on the left was double stamped, and the one on the right was double stamped and then heat embossed in clear embossing powder. You can see the color is brighter on that one. So there you have it, a few simple tips for stretching your ink pads when using them with color layering stamps. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to check out wplus9.com for more creative inspiration. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!